A rumor is growing fast that Robert Downey Jr. is having trouble on the set of his new Avengers film with Ryan Reynolds.
Hollywood thrives on secrets. Some slip through the cracks, some explode onto the front page, and then there are the whispers, the kind that start in dimly lit studios, whispered between crew members, passed along by assistants, until suddenly they're on the lips of every fan online. And right now, one whisper has grown into a roar. The claim that on the set of Marvel's upcoming Avengers Doomsday, two of the biggest stars in Hollywood collided in a way no one expected. Robert Downey Jr., the man who is Iron Man, the cornerstone of Marvel's empire, went head-to-head with Ryan Reynolds, Marvel's newest golden boy, the quick-witted, sharp-tongued mercenary, who made Deadpool a phenomenon.
He reported that Robert Downey Jr. demanded reshoots behind the scenes. Now, here's what he actually said on his podcast. I've heard that they paid Robert Downey Jr. 50 to 60 million. Disney had to reshoot for 3 weeks. They reshot 3 weeks worth of material because apparently, and this is what he heard, they had an actor standing in for Downey Jr. in the Dr. Doom suit, basically wearing the mask and the suit.
This isn't just speculation anymore. What started as rumor has sharpened into something else. A picture of a set tense with egos, reshoots, and yes, an actual confrontation. It begins, strangely enough, with a late-night Instagram post. Ryan Reynolds, in the middle of the night at the exact hour Taylor Swift was counting down to her album release, dropped an Avengers logo, no caption, no explanation, just a single image, posted at the precise moment that ensured the internet couldn't ignore him. For many, it was classic Reynolds. Mischievous, trolling, playful. But for others, especially those watching from inside the Marvel machine, it was something else. A shot fired. Because Marvel hadn't announced anything yet. No press release. No Comic-Con reveal. And here was Ryan Reynolds, forcing the conversation, yanking attention away from one of the biggest pop stars on the planet, to plant himself right in the middle of the Avengers story. It worked. The internet spun into overdrive. Fans debated timelines, crossover theories, multiverse angle, headlines blared, Deadpool joins Avengers. And behind the scenes, insiders confirmed it. Reynolds was in. Not just him, but Hugh Jackman's Wolverine too. The Deadpool-Wolverine duo that had already printed money at the box office would be stepping into Marvel's crown jewel, and that was where Robert Downey Jr. came back into the picture. Downey's return was already seismic, paid an eye-watering $50 to $60 million. His reappearance wasn't just casting, it was Marvel's safety net. After years of faltering sequels and missteps, they were putting their chips back on the man who had built the MCU from the ground up. For fans, his return as Dr. Doom was shocking. For the studio, it was essential. But with Reynolds and Downey on the same set, things got complicated fast. Reports first surfaced through industry insider Jeff Schneider. According to him, Downey had grown frustrated with how his scenes were being filmed. To save him from the discomfort of long hours inside Doom's armor, a body double was used for the physical shots, with Downey reading lines off camera. Weeks of filming went this way, millions spent, and then Downey called it off. He insisted it wasn't working. He wanted to reshoot everything himself, in the suit. It was a demand only Robert Downey Jr. could make, and get away with. The studio caved. Whole sets were rebuilt, crew rescheduled, production burned through money like paper. The tension was already rising. Then came the spark that lit the powder keg. On set, between takes, Reynolds did what Reynolds does best. He joked, he riffed, played to the crew, slid into the kind of snark that made Deadpool famous. But this time, his words weren't just playful. They carried an edge, something too personal, something that hit Downey the wrong way. Some say the joke was about Downey's past, a reference to his struggles, his demons, the very history he had fought to rise above. Others insist it was about Marvel itself, maybe a jab at how desperately the studio needed him back to save their collapsing empire. Whatever the exact line was, one thing is clear: it crossed a boundary. Downey stopped. The atmosphere shifted. Crew members who were laughing one moment fell silent the next. Downey confronted Reynolds directly, words sharp, controlled, but unmistakably angry. What had been banter turned into a standoff, and in that instant, the playful tone shattered. From that moment forward, everything changed. Marvel couldn't ignore it. Two megastars clashing in front of the crew meant choices had to be made. Either force them to keep working together and risk the tension bleeding onto the screen, or bend the production to keep them apart. According to whispers, Marvel chose the latter, scenes rewritten, shots rearranged. In some cases, entire sequences reshot to minimize their time together. It cost millions, but to Marvel, losing either man would cost far more. The internet, of course, put the pieces together. Schneider's report of Downey demanding reshoot. Roach's hints of a confrontation between two very outspoken actors, the Instagram stunt, the egos, and suddenly, the rumor became a narrative. Robert Downey Jr. versus Ryan Reynolds. A clash no one saw coming. And yet, when you line up the details, it fits almost too perfectly. The fallout wasn't immediate. Not on the surface, at least. Production didn't halt. Cameras kept rolling. The actors delivered their lines, but anyone close to the set swears the air was different after that day. Downey became quieter, focused, professional, but his warmth, the charm that made him beloved not just as Iron Man, but as a presence on every set, had dimmed. He arrived on time, did the work, and left. No lingering, no joking, no late-night bonding with cast and crew. Reynolds, on the other hand, leaned into his brand, smiling wider, joking louder. But beneath it, insiders say, there was steel. The tension wasn't just personal anymore. It had become political. Because Marvel now had to choose who carried this movie. On one side, Robert Downey Jr., the man they'd paid tens of millions to lure back, the face of the MCU's golden years, their insurance policy against box office collapse. On the other, Ryan Reynolds, the king of viral marketing, whose irreverence and cultural clout had single-handedly turned Deadpool from a gamble into a billion-dollar franchise. A man who, unlike Downey, wasn't bound by Marvel's careful family-friendly branding, and who had proven he could outshine the studio itself with a single Instagram post. Marvel tried to walk the tightrope. Scenes were shuffled. Reports suggest Reynolds and Downey shared fewer direct interactions on screen than originally planned. When they did appear together, Marvel pushed for controlled environments, tight scripting, minimal improvisation, no room for sparks to fly off camera, but controlling them completely impossible. Whispers from the editing room claim some takes had to be scrapped entirely. Shots where Reynolds' smirk, his improvisation, his energy didn't just clash with Downey's gravitas, they undercut it, or worse, made it look like Downey's Dr. Doom was being upstaged by Deadpool's wisecracks. The kind of thing fans would seize upon instantly, and Marvel knows its fans. Knows they'll analyze every frame, every line, every micro-expression. If even a hint of that real-life animosity bled through, the internet would make it a wildfire. Behind the scenes, the speculation only grew louder. Industry analyst Daniel Rocca poured fuel on the fire when he teased that two very outspoken actors had butted heads on a major Marvel production, their confrontation so sharp it forced serious recalculations in the script. He never named names. But fans didn't need him to. The timeline matched. The details lined up. It wasn't long before forums and social media were ablaze with one narrative. Robert Downey Jr. versus Ryan Reynolds. And here's the part Marvel can't control. That narrative is already bigger than the film. On TikTok, edits pit Iron Man against Deadpool, captioned with quotes about clashing egos. On Reddit, breakdown threads compile every insider leak, every photo of Downey looking stony-faced on set, every clip of Reynolds dodging questions in interviews. Twitter memes frame the showdown like it's the MCU's real civil war. Fans aren't just asking if the clash happened, they're asking who won. And Marvel, desperate to keep the machine running, now finds itself in a trap. If they deny it, they risk drawing more attention. If they ignore it, the story spins out of control. But if they lean into it, even subtly, they gamble with their own movie's reputation. Because here's the truth. Marvel needs both of them. Downey's gravitas, his presence, is the anchor. Without him, Dr. Doom risks becoming just another CGI villain in a long line of forgettable foes. But Reynolds' irreverence, his viral magnetism is the spark. Without him, the movie risks feeling like another corporate retread too heavy to capture the culture. Together they could make magic. But together, after that day, they might not even want to share the same frame. And that's where the speculation takes on an even darker twist. Some insiders whisper that Marvel is preparing two cuts of Avengers Doomsday, one that leans heavier on Downey, his Dr. Doom as the tragic centerpiece, his return framed as the studio's masterstroke. Another that elevates Reynolds, giving Deadpool the sharpest lines, letting his chaotic energy carry the runtime. Two cuts, two safety nets, one studio hedging its bets, because it no longer trusts its stars to coexist. And if that's true, then this feud isn't just gossip. It's shaping the very fabric of the most important Marvel film in years. So maybe that's why the whispers won't die. Why, even without confirmation, This story has embedded itself in the fandom, because at its core it's not just about two actors, it's about the future of Marvel itself. Will Robert Downey Jr.'s iron grip on the MCU's legacy hold, or will Ryan Reynolds, the outsider who built his empire by breaking rules, force Marvel into a new era? The cameras have stopped rolling, the sets are quiet now, but the echoes of that confrontation, the words exchanged, the silence that followed, will haunt this movie long after it premiered. And when fans finally sit down in theaters, watching Deadpool smirk across from Doctor Doom's iron mask, they'll wonder, how much of what we're seeing is acting?